Okay, good to see everybody again. So we're going to call the meeting to order. What I'd like to do actually is kind of reshuffle the things in the agenda a little bit, if that's okay with everybody. I think I'd like to do the call to order, the approval of the meeting minutes, the public comments, and then move the business process up in front of the bylaws edits, because I think they kind of inform each other in some ways. So absent objection, we'll go ahead and proceed that way. Okay, so who all do we have here today? I'm Adam.
I'm Barbara.
I'm Darcy.
Is there anybody in the hearing room?
Christine Cook, Senior Deputy Prosecuting Attorney.
Hi, Christine. Okie doke.
No, Adam. And for the record, this is Kristen. I am in the hearing room, but no one else is in here.
Okay. All right, so did everyone get a chance to look at the meeting minutes?
Yes.
I did.
Do we have a motion to approve them?
So moved.
Second.
All right, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Okay, that was all three of us. Meeting minutes are approved. Okay, so public comment. Do we have anybody online who is here to comment today?
I do see one person called in. If you would like to comment, and if you push *3, it will raise your hand. And I'm not seeing anything.
This meeting is being recorded.
Okay, then I guess we'll move on. If the person listening in changes their mind, let us know and we can make time for comments later on if we need to.
No problem.
Okie doke. All right, so let's go ahead then and talk about the business process that we got, because I think we all are probably going to have some suggestions on edits for that thing. So I think before I kind of turn it over to everybody, I think that the key problem with this, as I read through it rather quickly, is that we're the autonomous commission that's supposed to hear and rule on each complaint. And as drafted, this seems to set up a gatekeeper role for the HR officer, HR director at the county that I think could be brought into better alignment with the resolution. So I think we're gonna have some suggestions based on that. But one question that I have before we kind of start looking at the nuts and bolts here is I see that it's got a separate process for elected officials, advisory boards, and commissions than for employees. And I just wanted to clarify, it looks to me like that's probably because of a collective bargaining or some kind of other agreement that the county employees may have. Is that the only reason why those were separated and given different processes? Do we know?
Good morning, it's Kathleen. Can you guys all hear me okay?
I can, thanks.
Okay, so I think the thought process of splitting them between the two is I don't want county staff doing an investigation on elected officials just based on their roles.
You are really echoing. You're really echoing.
It looks like Barbara is on twice, and so that may be causing an echo.
Okay. I'm not sure how to get out of there.
Okay. Barbara, maybe you're taking care of the echo on your end.
Okay.
Okay, that makes sense to me. Darcy and Barbara, do either of you have questions about that, the splitting up between the processes for the elected?
What Kathleen said makes absolute sense to me.
Okay,
I agree with that.
okay. Barbara?
I couldn't understand her because I was getting an echo and I'm trying to get back in here some way.
Okay, you're in and there's no echo now, so if you're good, we're good.
Okay, I can't see anybody or hear anybody, but, I mean, I can hear you, but that's all.
So Kathleen, I think Barbara would like you to repeat the reasoning.
Yes, so when we were looking at this, I didn't want necessarily our county staff doing an investigation on elected officials. Just because of the roles and responsibilities, I just want to keep it as clean as possible, supporting both the employee and the elected official.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so then, assuming that that's done, we can go through this thing and kind of make suggestions here in the meeting, or we could be given a Word version and compile our changes that way. I guess I'll go ahead and start with a couple of things that I sort of notice and then kind of open it up to the rest of the group. So the first thing to me that it seems sort of like a problem is I think that we should all the commissioners should get a copy of the complaint along with the what's called the receipt memo in the document. We're going to have to see the complaint at some point anyway, so I don't see any reason for us to not see it right off the bat. And I can send these suggested changes to you in an email or something later if that's easier. I also think that where the Human Resources Department or the investigation process is involved, there should probably be a change from the word conclusion to the word recommendation to recognize our role to hear and rule on the complaint. So I don't think there can be a conclusion until we have a ruling. And then I also think that where in the document in several different places it says that something's going to be sent to us to confirm or deny the outcome of the complaint. I think to bring that in line with the resolution, it's just say to hear and rule on the complaint. Again, can't really be an outcome until we've made a ruling. I wouldn't think. I also think that where the HR department is sending us the information submitted, that should instead just be the complaint, but that might be taken care of if we're getting the complaint at the very beginning. And then the resolution also talks about an ethics oversight office where things will be submitted, and I don't know if there's any reason not to use that language, even though it's maybe a little bit overly technical because, well, let's just say the resolution says to create that office. So we're creating that office, I guess, within the HR department. And then I think where in both of these processes where it wraps up, so the language used is upon conclusion. I'd say that I think that the HR director should probably provide us a ruling memo instead of a conclusion memo. And that memo should probably be, we should at least get a copy of it. And there probably should be a review process for us to review it and ensure that it's consistent with whatever the ruling is. So those are the suggestions that I have, and they're probably kind of difficult to visualize without putting together a different document. And so I'd be happy to work those changes into a revised Word document if people want to see it that way. But I'd like to turn it over to Darcy and Barbara each to see what their thoughts are as well. So who wants to go first?
Well,
Go ahead.
you did a good job of reading quickly and making some recommendations, Adam. I read through it as well, but I didn't feel like I had very much time to really think about it. So some of the things that you've suggested make sense to me, but I'd like to see them in writing. That would be helpful.
I think that makes a lot of sense.
I did not have time to read, and it's, I can't print it out because I'm traveling. So I will have to review it at a later time.
Okay, so then Kathleen, is this in your department? Would it be possible for someone to provide me with a Word document and then I could work these changes into that and then we could recirculate it?
Yes, we can absolutely do that. I also want to just note the charter section 8.12 and 8.13 are the two pieces that were voted on by the public with regards to the Ethics Review Commission and Oversight Office. And the resolution that was originally adopted did not fully match what was approved. So there may be, I would ask you to look at those sections because that it changes the role, I think, that the commission was originally, what we originally discussed based on the resolution. And we're working on updating that code language right now and should be going before council, hopefully by end of the year. Worst case will be beginning of next year. It is drafted, but so there was some things on the roles and responsibilities that may not completely align with what the resolution adopted, meaning I don't, and Chris can correct me if I'm speaking here, but the Ethics Review Commission doesn't do any of the investigations. They are only provided the outcome if there is an investigation. And I know the goal of the business process was to be transparent with the commission of coming forward and saying, yes, we reviewed this, or HR director reviewed this, and it doesn't fall or appear to fall within any like legal definition of ethics. So then that you guys can review it and say, yes, that makes sense. We're done. Or if it does, then we do the investigation. And then that comes also back to you once that is done with the resolution. And the conclusion letter is saying it's substantiated or it's not substantiated. So I just wanted to provide that clarity for you all as you're looking at this business process.
I think that makes sense. I looked at the section 8.12 and 8.13, and I think where I get the hang up with the changes that I'm suggesting is that two different things, the Autonomous Ethics Review Commission, and then also that we're charged with hearing and ruling on the complaint. So so the changes that I'll be suggesting don't involve getting involved with the investigation or anything. It's just kind of making it a little bit more clear that there is an Autonomous Ethics Review Commission that's not just going to, confirm what the county's doing. So is there a timeline on this that we need to?
If I could jump in for a minute, please. This is Chris. Hello?
Go ahead.
Thank you. I think that the investigative part is important. Oh dear, somebody has a mic on and it's making me echo. So if you're not speaking, please turn your mic off. Thank you. So we have gotten something that calls itself an ethics complaint. And when you ask, when does this have to be done? We have live ethics complaints. So I would work on this efficiently and reasonably quickly, if possible. But something that says it's an ethics complaint and is sent to us by someone who is very upset at something might not actually be about ethics. It might be they're upset because they think somebody was mean to them. Is that ethics? I don't know. And I think that's what some of the investigative work is to be about as an initial question. Is this actually an ethics complaint? So there were two items I had there. One is, yes, we need to get this done. And the other is, that's why the HR department and the HR director have an initial role. Thank you.
I think that makes sense, and I definitely agree. Some things could be styled as an ethics complaint that aren't actually that should have been styled as something different. But I do think that we're charged with hearing that complaint and ruling whether it is or isn't an ethics complaint. If Chris, if you think I have that wrong, then let me know the reasoning. But I think if we're supposed to hear and rule on what's called an ethics complaint, then I think that it lands on us as the autonomous commission to make that determination. Is there, doesn't, am I reading
Well,
this
I'm
wrong?
not sure that you have the power to rule on things that aren't ethics complaints. And I don't feel terribly strongly about this. I can see both arguments here. So if somebody says, I don't like my boss, that's not necessarily an ethics complaint. If somebody says my boss is stealing, that's an ethics complaint. And if it's not an ethics complaint, what is the role of the Autonomous Ethics Commission?
So if we were, let's say we were reviewing something and our first determination has to be whether it's an ethics complaint, is that something that we could do with your advice and whoever else needs to be there for the decision? Because what it seems like we take out the transparency and the purpose of the Ethics Review Commission if the county itself is deciding what is an ethics complaint to begin with. I don't think we're going to fulfill the purpose of this thing.
I agree with you, Adam.
Oh, Lord. Barbara, please please mute your other mic. You're on twice again. Yeah, thanks.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I think what Adam was, to me, is saying is we're not ruling on the validity of whether the complaint has merit. I think he's saying we're deciding whether it's in fact an ethics problem. Your example of someone being mean to me can cut both ways. It can be that they just take things, the service didn't get out there quick enough or something like that, or that they actually were rude to the person, are two different things. And so I don't think we're ruling that the comment necessarily was a breach of that ethics or the action was a breach of that, but whether or not it even comes under our review. And I think that is something the Ethics Commission should do rather than the county.
However, I think that it would be useful for the county to do a look into the issue and provide information to the commission regarding the complaint.
Barbara, please mute yourself when somebody else is talking.
Okay.
Thanks.
So I don't know if that makes sense or not, but I could see that the county could do an initial look at the complaint, follow up with some information and provide that to the commission so that the commission would be the ones determining whether it is an ethics complaint or not.
I think so the changes that I'm proposing I don't think they would reshuffle the way that that's taken care of. It would just be that we would see a copy of the complaint at the beginning of the process. And then the county people would go through, whatever their process is going to be, and then provide us a recommendation. And then we would hear that recommendation and then make a ruling on whether we think there was an ethics complaint or not. I think it'll be easier when I can get it, in a written document so everyone can look at it and see what my proposal would be. So is it possible for us to, Christine, can we reconvene? I don't know, tomorrow or later this week? If I can make those changes in a matter of probably less than an hour.
So I have some serious appellate due dates coming up within the next week. So I'm not able to meet with you within the next week. Certainly there can be a special meeting that requires 24-hour notice. But I won't be present if it's before next Wednesday.
Okay, well then maybe, I don't know how fast we want to move on this, but if someone sends me a Word version of the business process, I can make those changes probably while we're here meeting. I don't, and then everyone could read through it and see if they think it makes sense. I just don't know that that's really fair to Barbara and Darcy to expect them to review something that quickly and make a decision on it. So I don't know. Does anyone have any thoughts about the timeline on how to do this?
I don't see the urgency that it has to be done within a week, so I would prefer more time. This is Barbara.
This is Darcy. Next week would be fine for me.
Christine, how's your appellate schedule look?
I just sent over the Word version to everyone, and this is Kristen. I can work with Chris Cook and the rest of you all and try to get some things scheduled as soon as possible, as soon as Chris's schedule opens up a little bit.
My schedule opens up in a very major way after next Tuesday.
Perfect.
Mine does as well, so I like that idea. So
That works for me.
okay. So
Good for me.
can we plan then by email for me to get out my proposed revisions to that, and then I can send them back to everybody, and then we can settle on a date to meet again and vote on whether to, I guess what we'd be doing is we would be sending that, back to you guys all at the county to say, here's how we'd like to see this changed. And we don't have the power to tell you how to write it, I don't think, but if the three of us are in agreement on some proposed changes, then I would think that would probably be worth looking at. Okay, so I don't think this is something that we need to vote on as long as everyone's okay with the process we just talked about. So absent objections, I guess we'll move on to looking at the edits for our bylaws. Let's see, where did I put those? Okay,
I believe there
so
were,
go
I
ahead.
think that the red text that's showing up here were the edits that were made. I think they were very minimal from last meeting. Some formatting things. This is what we did on our end. A couple of formatting things, commas, punctuation. And I'm not sure if we have follow-up on this 3.2 or not. And
I
so
don't
I
have
went through
anything on
and fixed everything.
3.2.
Okay, so as I'm looking at over these, I kind of think we need to make a bunch of changes to account for the fact that we're not doing the investigations. So I'm not sure it's worth our time to go word for word through this again, or even necessarily through the things that we've looked at. What I kind of wonder is if, do you guys want me to take a stab along with the proposed changes to the business process at putting some track changes into this that I think would kind of bring this more into line with what we're talking about, as far as the hearing and ruling on complaints being kind of what we're limited to? Or do we want to go through this today? I don't know that it's, I'm not sure that it's all applicable with the understanding that we now have about a more limited role. Thoughts?
I'm voicing my opinion for you to go ahead and edit it down so we can look at it. I think word by word is not going to be useful right now.
I agree with that. If you have time, Adam, that would be great.
I think my schedule is kind of like Christine's. I've got some nasty deadlines this week, and next week looks like a beautiful ray of sunshine at this point. Okay, so I guess maybe we need a motion on this. Does anyone move for me to kind of take another stab at this and then recirculate it along with the proposed changes to the business process?
So moved.
I second that.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, I heard 3, so that is all we need to do for that for now. All right, so where does that leave us on our agenda? Next meeting date. Okay, so we're going to do quarterly meetings, we decided. Third Tuesday of November. Okay, well, that's too long for what we want to do to get something on this business process, so that we can start, so somebody can start looking at the thing that the county has that's called an ethics complaint. So I guess I would suggest that we postpone that decision also until the next time we get together, unless anyone thinks otherwise.
If I could, Adam, I think that my intent for adding this to the agenda was to get a set schedule so staff can send out just one special meeting notice saying this is when the Ethics Review Commission will be holding meetings. And we can post on the website. They are, what would that be? February 20th, May, whatever that third Tuesday is. And we can get things on the calendar. And then if we need meetings in between those, we can always do a special meeting. So I don't know if setting this schedule is a good idea, and then we can also do a meeting for in a week and a half or 2 weeks. Or we can always postpone this till next time. I just know that sometimes it's a little easier for the public and scheduling if once we get settled, it's all set.
Okay, I get it. That makes sense. So then the proposal is to have quarterly meetings the third Tuesday of each November, February, May, and August. So that would include a meeting this month that will be after our special meeting about the things we talked about today. So I think that is fine for us to go ahead and vote on that. If anyone has a motion to approve that, well, I'll make a motion to approve that. I make a motion to approve that schedule.
Second.
Barbara, you agree?
Yes,
She seconded.
I seconded it.
Oh, Darcy, do you agree?
I agree.
Okay, so we all like that. We all voted to approve that. So let's just make that our quarterly meeting schedule.
Good.
Perfect.
This
And
is Chris. Is that going to interfere with or clash somehow with county council meetings? Kristen and Kathleen?
It is not. That was one reason I did pick these days. The hearing room is available, and the third Tuesday is an evening meeting, so we should be okay for that. But I also did want to point out, I'm going to pull up a calendar really quick. Oh, one moment here. I think you can all see that. So the third Tuesday would be November 21st, which is okay for staff then, but I do want to make sure it is Thanksgiving week, so just a heads up for that. And then also, if we were looking at a special meeting after next Wednesday, that would be the 16th, 17th, or 20th, and then the next regular meeting is the 21st. So I don't know what thoughts are on that. And we could always start the regular meeting schedule after the special meeting in February, or we could just have everyone meet up again the 21st, whatever works best for you.
I think we should start the regular schedule in February. It doesn't make sense to have meetings that close together.
Agreed.
Does anyone see any problems if we just say our next meeting will be on November 21st and we'll discuss the things that we talked about today at a special meeting? We'll just do it there instead.
I could do that.
I can do that.
Okay, wonderful. Well, the hearing room and everything is available to you then anyway, so that works for staff and.
Okay, then I think we already voted to approve that schedule, so we won't be needing to schedule a special meeting, but I will send out a couple documents with track changes for everyone to look at before our next meeting on November 21st. Anything else for the good of the order? All right, then I guess unless anyone has anything else, we can go ahead and adjourn.
Thanks, Adam.
Thank you.
Thanks, Darcy. Thanks, Barbara. Thanks, everybody from the county. I can't
Thank
see you.
you.
I know you're there.
Thank you too.
All right, we'll see you guys in a couple weeks.
Okay, thanks. Bye.